Yes, here we go. It is Wednesday night. We were going to be live with the judge, but sadly, work commitments. He's took on a new role. We're all very, very happy for him. But he will not be able to make it tonight as he's just grafting. He's just grafting hard, and work has got to come before podcasts and things like that. And it is very unlike the judge not to be able to make it and call off late. So absolute free pass to him. But I'm here. And we're going to talk a wee bit about potential managerial candidates now that could take over in the long run. We can look ahead to tonight's game as well. I just cannot wait to see the visual of Martin O'Neill coming out that tunnel again. It's almost got like that WWE sort of vibe to it, you know. The comeback of an absolute icon. The comeback of a giant of this club's history. And it's nearly upon us, and that is going to be a moment to treasure. Let's hope the football is as well. Will O'Neill's stamp be able to be put on a team tonight? I highly doubt it. I just think there'll be an impetus about them, and that's what he's there to do, is give them that push, give them that drive, as he would say with that curl of the R, drive. Give them that drive, Martin. And I think there's a lot of people that should be in that team right now, whilst they're watching a movie play out between Board, the guy who thinks he's the official club owner, and the former manager. Whilst there's a big storyline between them, they're getting away with a hell of a lot of murder right now. Let's be absolutely clear on that. For every poor performance, Brendan took a slap. For every lack of additions that were added to their quality, the Board took a slap. They're getting away with murder. And it's nigh on time for that team and that set of players to step up and be counted and stop crying. Maybe they're having wee weak moments going, oh, it's not fair I want to go in the summer, or it's not fair because we've not got Nicholas Kuhn in the team anymore and he was great and we keep selling up. You get paid shitloads of money to represent the greatest club in the world. Go out and fucking get back to looking like champions again. I expect we will tonight as well. I think I do still believe in the romance of fairy tales and all that sort of thing. And I'm certainly hopeful that that's what we're going to see tonight. Remember, do all that good stuff if you are in the chat, and there's loads of yous already on, so thank you very much for jumping on the bus. Remember, do give us a wee like, give us a share, hit the subscribe button if you've not already. Our subscriber numbers keep rocketing up, so a big thank you to those who are watching it. If you're not on our TikTok, get on the .Bhoycie with the H .bus on the old TikTok as well, because I think one of our videos this week's had like 15,000 views and stuff like that. So if you are not satisfied with everything you get here and you want reminders, there's the odd wee clips that we cut and paste onto there as well. But yeah, let's talk firstly about the runners and riders, because I think right now it's fair to say Celtic, first and foremost, where Celtic are at, I think before we get in the individuals that we could speculate on, which is always good fun at this time when Celtic are managerless. But before we get there, I think it's very interesting to note Celtic have unveiled Martin O'Neill as if he was the permanent manager. Re-announcement. They've done the club interview. They've done the wee short clip video, which I think they would have done if he was only really just going to be here for 1 or 2 games. But they've done now the in-house interview. They've done the full presser. They've brought in a whole new coaching sort of setup. Gavin Strachan survives. Stevie Woods, of course, survives. I mean, I don't know if I'd rather have Stevie Woods in goal tonight, to be honest with you, considering Schmeichel's form this season. But they've hired Mark Fotheringham. They've promoted Stephen McManus. They've promoted Sean Maloney. They've brought in Greg Wallace. Yep, not the one for MasterChef, albeit I did chuckle when I seen that. I thought, fucking hell. Don't go in the showers with him. Just a joke. They're just jokes. Don't sue me, Greg. You know, you were good on MasterChef, mate. Honest. But yeah, that sort of level of detail looks to me more they're expecting a lengthy period of interimness, if that makes sense. That I know that's not a word, by the way, but that to me strikes me like when Rangers appointed Barry Ferguson, there was a whole new sort of background team because they knew he was there till the end of the season, which was a substantial chunk of time. So with all that in mind, if you remember when Lenny grabbed the reins when Brendan last departed, it was just Lenny just dropped in there with exactly what was there before. This time around, there looks to be a real setup there for someone that's just could be there for just 1 or 2 games. Now, what does that all mean? First and foremost, I think it means in an ideal world for Dermot and the board, Martin gives it the jolt, the genius tactician that I think they think Sean Maloney is. And I don't want to be overcritical of Sean Maloney. He doesn't deserve that from us. Yes, it's so predictable and it's so typical that he's a former player and he's a promotion from within. And when he joined in the summer, all of us said he'll be earmarked for the job. So there's a lot of that can sort of bring up sort of prejudgment and sort of grudging sort of dislike for the ideology of appointing him as manager. However, I think there's right now, looking at the setup that they've done, they are leaving this wide open for get the good results in, and then say they do that, leave it wide open for Maloney gets the gig, Martin moves into some sort of overseeing role out the dugout, but looking over everything. So still the double act, don't panic. But really it's Sean Maloney. And I think right now, to be honest with you, it's kind of mere Sean Maloney is the first team coach. Martin is there just purely as a figurehead. And what they'll ideally do if we get results is sort of subtly let that just seamlessly turn into, well, Martin's now just kind of overseeing it from upstairs. He'll just slowly be making wee steps up the stairs. But it's still a double act, but Sean will be first team. I think that's their dream. And I think when I see the level of recruitment they've done behind these two, I think that tells you that they're not looking like or thinking that they're going to have another manager in place, next week, for example. I think it's, you don't go to that effort if that's what it is. And again, that leads you, just whilst I love to kick that board at any opportunity, that was a punch, not a kick, but I kind of get my feet on the screen. I think that also leads to, though, see if this was all going on, like Dermot's statement, yet another dig at that statement from me, no surprises there. I think if everything was as bad as made out, then let's be real here. You would have a long-term plan in place. Or if you were thinking about, right, we would get Martin in for the interim, he would have already been sounded out. He wasn't, and he's confirmed that, and that is gospel. He has definitely not been in any way, shape or form in the know that he could be returning at any point. Not even as a, just keep on standby, Martin. We think he'll be off soon. We might get rid of him soon. Be on standby. No, they've caught him unawares. So there was no plan for Brendan leaving, despite the fact they were absolutely raging that he was even there. And all his behaviours, his toxicity, and causing, to go as far as like the family stuff and that of the board members and stuff and try to pin that on him. If that's going on at your club, you get rid of that person. You weed them out first. But of course they didn't. So again, I just think that points to the fact that they didn't know this was coming. They didn't have a plan in place whatsoever. That statement looks a bit of bollocks. But let's move on now. So what about, here's an idea. Well, let's throw out a candidate. And he's one who's been linked many a time. And of course, it's Kjetil Knutsen at Bodo Glimt. Let's bring up his wee profile here on the old Google. Because that's a manager who we've been linked with many a time. And his contract is apparently up in December. And the Norwegian League, I believe, finishes pretty soon as well, because they go like February, March to like, is it November it finishes? Something like that. That would work. You've got Martin then in to steady the ship until free agent Knutsen, and that's not a dig. I mean, they wouldn't buy him out his contract now because that would cost money. But it's not a dig that he would be a free agent as such, because I think his record has been absolutely fantastic. And particularly the European form. You now don't get a shock when you see Kjetil Knutsen as his team winning matches at Bodo Glimt in Europe against the bigger sides, because he's made it a regular occurrence, hasn't he? He gets to latter stages. Semi-finals, were they in the Europa League? Am I right in thinking last year? I mean, that is a real achievement with the Norwegian side. Anyone want to should we get a wee photo of them up? Why not? Why not get a wee photo of them? In fact, I have a few photos if you want. There he is here in the wee Google search. Big shell. Big shell Knutsen, just in case nobody's got a clue who I'm talking about. There he is there. There's hundreds of shell Knutsens. I mean, let's look at the comments on that first and foremost. Joe Henry works miracles against bigger teams. That's worth $3 million per annum. Officer Feelgood, 1888, great name. Love that, mate. He says, no chance of Knutsen. His contract is amazing at Bodo, but his contract's running out. Nonetheless, and all football agents these days, Officer Feelgood, scout out what's available for their client when their client's contract's coming to an end. So the fact that that is coming to an end, I think is interesting. And of course, that would fit with us needing a proper team around Martin O'Neill in the meantime, because it would be a substantial period, 6-7 weeks before he becomes available. That would tie in with why they've kind of went to the lengths that they have to get such a support network around the new manager or management team. So that one works. Let's see some other comments on that possibility. Kingston boy. Unless Knutsen is a granny from the north of Ireland, or probably Ireland, mate, to be fair, either or, then there's no chance. I hear you, mate. I hear you. Streams of the Doctor. Quinny raised a fantastic point. Why hasn't Knutsen moved before now? He said Ajax was in talks when it all broke down. What did they sniff out? Well, if we go with what someone said earlier, his contract is maybe shit hot there. And he's pulling up trees. And sometimes you're happy in life as well. Many people, if you remember, let's make it close to home, questioned why the King of Kings never left Celtic. Had tested himself. What's the issue there? Why has he not moved? Why has he not went to a bigger league? Plenty of offers, Juve, Man U, etc. It's because he was happy. He was happy. And he was achieving great things. And he was becoming legendary. And he was settled. And he had family to think of. So there's loads of different reasons for that. But yeah, I think he's certainly someone. One thing you would be expecting to be happening now is contact made. Ask the question. Get involved with that chat. 100%. We'd be all for those talks to be taking place. And by the way, that's not because it's binary and you just want Knutsen and no one else to be spoken with. Not at all. We've got time to play with the current regime there, unless it all goes tits up, of course. But I think we do. And Knutsen definitely fits a lot of the profile. I think a lot of people would like to see someone who can achieve things in Europe against the backdrop of not a lot of money. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter who you are as manager. The Celtic board aren't going to supply you with a lot of money, so you would need to be doing that. What about if we have a look? If we have a wee look at the other runners and riders, I think there's one that's like really is going to divide the support, and I don't know where I stand on it, if I'm honest. And it would be, of course, this man here. And here's the reason why. I'm being a wee bit naughty with the sharing of the screen that I'm about to do here. So what we get is a manager who's won leagues in 2 different countries already. And let's be honest, the leagues won't be a far cry from the standards of Scottish football, if not maybe even better. He has won the Israeli league with Maccabi Tel Aviv, and he's won the Hungarian league. Is the Hungarian league in it? With Ferencváros. Those things, and of course the fact he's Irish, by the way, strange love. Those things all point towards what would be, I think, someone who should be in contention for the Celtic job. The fact he's an ex-player might add a wee bit of weight to it, but certainly the profile of winning 2 foreign leagues and 2, being from Ireland and going to Israel and Hungary and winning their domestic titles of both clubs. Maybe they expected to because they're the biggest sides there. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really follow either league. But I think that certainly brings kudos to it. But here's the kicker, and that's why I, of course, chose this news article. Because whilst he won a league in Hungary, the fact he won a league in Israel only doesn't carry any weight. The fact he was willing to work in Israel is the only way a huge section of the Celtic fans will see. Where do I stand on it? Do I think that means Robbie Keane supports the absolute disgraceful actions of that country? Of course I don't. Do I think morally I would work in Israel? Probably not. Do I think he needed the money if he was going to say, I've got to support my family? Well, no one's going to believe that. And is it a sideshow that Celtic would need going on in the background? I don't think so, because I think there'd be a lot who wouldn't be able to let go of the fact that he worked there. Personally, I'm just being honest, it would be something that I don't like that he did, but if I wanted best in class, and he was the best in class, I'm not saying he is the best in class, by the way, just FYI, I'm saying hypothetically, I'd be able to overcome that barrier in my way of thinking, and we've got the right guy, we've got the best guy, let's move on. It's all about going forward. But I think that, to me, there's far too much baggage that comes with the fact he's managed Maccabi Tel Aviv, and I think Celtic would just bring out another clusterfuck of scenarios between fans, board, etc., that they really don't need. But when have they been good at reading the room? Never. Remember, this is a guy that was paid personally out of Dermot Desmond's pocket to come up on a loan spell, £65,000 a week back in 2010. Don't be surprised if he's interviewed. Don't be surprised if he's been contacted already. That's what I would say on that one. But yeah, it's interesting. If we've got the time now to do what I'm saying there in terms of reading the room, and that's where it's going to be so important that they get these decisions right. Not just thinking who's going to be best in class. People could, and I like to think I can prioritize best in class, but there's other bits that I'd be like, see if there's other managers equally as good, and there will be, by the way, available. Then you would rather go with them than someone that's going to bring a sideshow. So I don't think he could be ever at any point yet in his career such a level above any other potential candidate that appointment would make any sense whatsoever. And they've got time to gauge the mood here with the buffer that they've got in there with O'Neill and Maloney. So that one, it wouldn't take many clicks online for them to see, fucking hell, if we weren't popular before, that's only going to enhance it. So yeah, I think with that one, you'd like to think it won't happen. And I think that would be for the best. Here's the left field one. And I knew his name was going to come up, and it was thanks to you guys on this channel, because we were discussing Brendan potentially leaving, if you remember, before, on the same night that he actually left, and then we came back on. And there was quite a few that were talking about this man. And to be honest with you, again, it would fit in with the narrative of having a bit of time. If I could work a computer, that would help, but you know me. And it is this guy here, Craig Bellamy, again, former Celtic player. There's the first tick box done for the Celtic board. And I think with Bellamy right now, he's still very much in the midst of a World Cup qualifying campaign. And whilst that's still got potentially, able to happen, him guiding Wales to a World Cup, you ain't going to get him. Guess what? We've got time on that because we've got the buffer there. And it might just be that come next month you find out they can't qualify for the World Cup, or it becomes mathematically still possible, it's not going to happen sort of thing. And his head could be turned. I think right now it would be very soon for him to get the job, but he's definitely someone of note that I think coaching wise, remember, before he became a manager, was getting rave reviews. He was at Anderlecht. He was at Cardiff initially coaching. He was at Anderlecht, somewhere else. And then as a manager in his own right, what's really came to the fore, I think, is his public persona, which is huge now in modern day football, way bigger than it was before. He talks real, but does it in such a manner that connects with people, and anyone who's watched any of his interviews would be impressed. I don't know. That one again, I think, would be one that there wouldn't be a backlash against if it happened. I think it'd be exciting in the sense that you know you're going to get the passion, the Lennon fire, if you like, from his first spell. And I think, you know, he would be someone who comes in who fully understands what he's taken on. I think he would connect to the fans, as I say, based on what I've watched in the media and the perception that everyone seems to have on him on various sort of channels and things like that. When he's spoken about, it's up there with how he's connecting with supporters, how he's uniting the Welsh fan base, how he's got football. He wants to get back to being the top sport by a mile in the country because, well, that's what he's wanting to do by getting them qualifying for tournaments again, etc. But he's got a buy-in of people. He's got a buy-in of his nation. Could he do the same with our fan base? I think so. But would he be the best in class for the job? I don't think his CV as a manager in his own right is extensive enough to warrant that. But could he become the best available to us that actually wants the job at some point? Yes, because we can't look at Knutsens of the world. If they've turned down Ajax or talks to them, we can't expect these idiots who can't sign £3 million players, £4 million footballers when they've got 70 million in the bank to persuade managers to join them. Particularly after that damning statement from Desmond, which people like Bellamy, who've got strong minds, strong views, and would be like, well, hold on now. I will be disagreeing with you if I took that job at some point through the tenure. Is that what you're going to do to me when I walk out the door or you sack me? Is do that and career assassinate me? So there's many downsides to it, to the potential of it happening. But with Bellamy, I don't know. I don't think he would be the worst received. And like I say, yes, he's got the World Cup campaign going on right now, but we've got a buffer there right now in terms of O'Neill and the intern team that have all been hired, that makes that one not ruled out because of said World Cup campaign, wanting to see it through till it's inevitable, probably non-qualification. No offence, Craig. Love you, mate. 2 seconds. And of course, if anyone was going to be linked to the job, you could absolutely guarantee it. And of course, I don't think I'd survive. I think my life would be over if it were to happen. I think the bus would be, I tell you what, I think our subscribers would go through the fucking roof though, with every 7-0 win that Celtic got domestically. Just to come and watch me have to praise and thank Big Ange for coming home and, you know, say how well he crossed the road the other day because he's Uncle Ange, and no fucking hell, did you see the way he fucking smiled there? Fuck. He fucking what? He uses a fucking Phillips shaver. Oh my god, I love Phillips shavers. Nobody cares about all that, but they do. Whatever he does in the minds of Celtic fans, he is the hero to a lot. And he'd prove immensely popular if he came back. It doesn't matter that he was trying to work his ticket for longer than Brendan was. No one cares about the facts when it comes to Postecoglou and his absolute dire record down south. All that matters is him, Uncle Ange, knitted jumpers, domestic bliss. And that's what he is. He's the manager to do and provide you almost guaranteed domestic bliss. That guy, despite a Europa League title with the favourites for the competition, playing the most anti-Ange football in the final, by the way. Watch it. Despite that, I think Celtic's European aspirations are absolutely kiboshed for the period of time that he would be there, and probably my ability to watch Celtic games with a straight face and not go, Jesus, I knew this would happen. Do I think he's in the race? I wonder if he wants a break now, because he didn't quite jump right straight for Spurs into the Forest job, but let's be honest, he took it. I think there were only 3 games into the season he took the job. And he looks a bit of an arse in the eyes of the EPL. And I think that would be, regardless of, I'm not taking pot shots at him, I think, in fairness, that would be quite draining when you've been absolutely panelled by everyone down south for finishing 17th with a top 6 club in England and then only getting 8 jobs there. I think mentally draining. I think he's got a lot of millions of pounds in the bank now to go spend it and maybe just take a slightly longer break from football. And where I would always expect him to go to Greece, to one of the big guns. Like, I think Olympiacos, that would be where I see Postecoglou really thriving there. Do you know what I mean? Would he want to come back to Scotland? I'm not sure. Would the board want to? Because remember, that ended up naughty as well with Brendan in the stands. The board got wind of what he was doing behind the scenes and they weren't happy, and they actually kind of played a trump card. So before he handed in his notice, they'd invited the manager they'd already agreed in place to take his vacant role once he did finally admit he was leaving. They had him in the stands that cup final, and I think they were pretty cheesed off. So I'm actually not that convinced it'll be Postecoglou. And by the way, see, out of respect for his point of view, he's had to deal with this board. Why do managers want to keep coming back whose stock are high? I mean, Postecoglou's stock, regardless of whether I particularly rate him or not, his stock's still decent because he's current Europa League champion. And you come back here to work with guys that he knows started trying to tie one arm behind his back. He knew it season 2. And to that end, I don't actually blame him for looking away. I just would prefer the consistency between him doing it and Brendan doing it, but that's by the by. So no, I feared at first that this could be the guy that they instantly turn to, because they've just got a black book of names. But I'm less and less convinced now that it will be. Right, okay, that's enough on potential managers, because I'm sure there'll be, oh no, one more. Of course, there is one more. And this one would be interesting in the sense of course, he's another Northern Irish manager, so that's definitely a box tick straight away. This one would be interesting. Kieran McKenna. Now, he was definitely on the shortlist for Manchester United. Apparently, he was on the shortlist for Spurs in the summer. Plays a certain brand of football, has that identity. So did Russell Martin. Was relegated from the Premier League last year. So was Russell Martin. But his stock seems to be way higher than what Russell Martin's ever was in England. And I think he renewed his contract with Ipswich. So they reckon his compensation, they were saying on TalkSport today, would be £5 million. £5 million is a lot of compensation to pay. Can Celtic afford it, by the way? Of course they can. And again, if we find this guy is best in class and the best guy, then you fucking better go out and pay it, because the manager's probably the most important person at the football club. Let's be real. So if you want to bitch and moan about, oh, we broke a record for the first time in 18 years under Brendan when we signed Edward for £9 million, then, you know, fast forward 6 years, you can afford to pay £5 million for a manager of substance if that's what you think he is. I don't know. Kieran Allen, what is all the right? See that? You could just bolt, mate. We'll just ban you. Kieran Allen called everyone CUNTs and that, and he's the man with the best, the only views. No one else knows anything. Listen, mate, we don't deal with that on the bus, mate. Do you know what I mean? I work full time. I come and do this for the crack, talk about football, and try and engage with the people who are watching up. If you want to come in here wading about your opinion and tell everyone else they're thick as shit or whatever and they know nothing, bolt. It's as simple as that. Ta-ta. I hope you're still watching, but don't try and comment because it won't work. All right, but remember and watch a couple more ads. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, the McKenna one's interesting. It'd be ambitious. It would seem ambitious on paper anyway, just because of the clubs he's been linked with. But that would be interesting. Okay. P. McLaughlin, you are just at it now, right? Okay. before we look ahead to tonight, P. McLaughlin would take Muscat. If Ange was director of football, fuck off. Muscat doesn't need a director. His old predecessor, all the jobs he's done, to be his director of football as well. What does he need his handheld to go to the toilet as well by Ange? But I would not take Kevin Muscat at Celtic whatsoever. And I think that would just be like, that's the equivalent of signing Scott Allen in midfield. You couldn't get him, but we did. Fuck that, man. Absolutely no. And I've got a feeling, McLaughlin, that you are at it. Anyway, tonight, Falkirk, again, one of these teams that when they come up this year, now bear in mind, see in the last 5 years, Falkirk were in League One. But see when they come up to the Premier League, you don't get the same vision in your head of like you do a lot of the teams that come up going, oh, they'll go straight back down. Never think that with Falkirk. They always seem to compete well. They remind me a bit of Hearts. They're either flying in life or they're fucking absolutely rock bottom. Hearts have been relegated and all that. Is it twice in the last 10 years? Fuck knows. But or near the bottom anyway, in one of the other years. And then other years you expect them to finish third, and they do. And Falkirk is a mad team that way who seem to yo-yo. They seem to either be flying or they're fucking just absolutely plummet. But in terms of the manager they've got, John McGlynn, very, very good. I think he's done a good job. They've got a great blend of youth and experience. They've confidence for taking scalps because, of course, they got the result they did against Rangers. I know it was a draw, but I think they went toe-to-toe and they felt confident. They'll be looking at the shit show that's happened here this week. It doesn't matter who we're playing. They'd be coming in with the appetite whetted, ready to rock. We've got to take them seriously. We've got to be organised. And I'm hoping, like I said last night, that the magic in the air is enough just to drive the team forward and get us through. I wonder, when it comes to team selection, there'll be recommendations from Maloney, or he'll sort of I don't know, have a blueprint of what the team should look like. And I wonder if O'Neill will do what he's good at. And I don't mind it, by the way, right now, because this is needs must. And he might just go, who's the older one of those two and who's the more physical, and putting him in, i.e. Dave Murray out, Austin Trusty in. Do you know what I mean? And just think of it that way and go, fucking, the slate's clean. I'm looking at profile, I'm looking at age, experience. Fucking, can you go toe to toe? Can you put yourself about? Not that Trusty really gives you that vibe that much, but I think there'll be decisions, hopefully, that he just makes that a wee bit different. Formation-wise, I'm really interested to know what they're going to come up with. I think there's a lot of people going, we'll be back to 3-5-2. Martin O'Neill stopped doing 3-5-2 at Celtic in 2003-04 season. The 2003-2004 season. In fact, 2003 season, because we were playing 4-4-2 some games of the UEFA Cup run. And I don't think that's what's going to happen. But what I do hope to see is a change. Something a bit different. People will want to see two up front. What two are we playing up front? Like who? Kenny and Yamada? Is that the best way to get your best players on the park at the same time right now? Not sure. I'm not sure. But certainly, I expect when you come in with a fresh set of eyes, and you've only got 24 hours, by the way, but just look at the recent results and go, we're making a change. We're going to just go straight in. And to be fair to them, career-wise, they've got nothing to lose here. I know there was a huge respect for the club, and they know every game matters for us massively, of course. But from their point of view, I'd be just becoming going, look at this simply and go, it's not working the way we're doing it right now. We're changing it. End of. And whether it's 4-5-1 or if it is 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, whatever it may be, I think you will see a tweak to what we're going to get in the lineup tonight. That's what I'm hoping in the formation. But who knows? Who knows? With Celtic, you absolutely never know this season. It's hard though. It's hard to see it's hard to see us not just giving ourselves one more of those amazing romantic stories, and that'll be one of the giants of the club came back and on his hero's welcome got us our most emphatic win of the season so far. That's what I'm hoping anyway. But we will see. I will leave it there. I might come back on later. Probably won't. You won't see me for a few days. I'm away to London, so with Jonathan for like 3 nights, my brother. So we will be disco dancing tomorrow night at ABBA Voyage. That's it. That's how cool I am. I won't be wearing the stracky top. But anyway, hope everyone has enjoyed the wee show that we've done there. I hope the game goes exactly as we hope. And yeah, look forward to seeing St. Martin back in the dugout. Enjoy yourselves. Be good.